All right. So let's see what's going on today. All right. So we got strong push. Uh, it's my first time looking, so that's why it sounds like everything's fresh. So I think morning time was in a one-on-one. We had rejected. There's some rug pull. I don't remember if it was QQQ or SPY, but it was like right out the gate. It looks like I think on futures is a bit more clear. Like futures, we went for all the downside liquidity from overnight, and then got to push off that. So let me actually we hunted for way further down. I guess on ES, yeah, we're having I mean the usual divergence we're getting with all-time highs, right? But ES hunted the overnight levels. If you're playing overnight levels on NQ, you're getting kind of smoked on this drawdown unless you're putting like a 100 point stop loss. But definitely ES a little bit cleaner on that aspect. If you're tracking London lows, or sorry, yeah, Asia London lows, right? All right, but at least right now, so SPX, we have a big range, right? We got all the way like out to 70-70 and 71-70 on the upside. SPY, let's see. We have this rug pull up at 712, 713. So we didn't push quite high enough to get there to be looking at this rug pull for an entry. The 711 node actually is about half the volume though of this king node, the 713. So Atlas to grid. Okay, wait. Let me take this banner away. So it looks like we did go tap into 711. And that sort of prevented us from even reaching that rug pull. Um, Probably the most clear one for this happened, rejection just happened was QQQ, right? We're hitting previous week high, 649, 650. We had this double stack positive node, which can hold us, prevent further move upwards. So let me see here. Yeah, at this point, that's roughly the read I'd have. Let me see on the downside. I guess if you're looking at downside for a bounce, you're probably looking for honestly, this is not very clear. Both SPX SPY have pretty big range. QQQ a little bit more compressed on that range. Um, but yeah, that's sort of the read I'm getting right now. Let's see how this continues going. What have y'all been looking? Did anyone trade anything yet? Let's see if anything. I don't know if anything happened. That was a nice setup between like 10 and 10:30. Oh man, these allergies are terrible. Stu. Oh, you took open. Okay. Gee, nice man. Kind of move that open have. It's 200% today, or this is something like you had already been holding previous? I assume it's something previous. Yeah, open's ripping. Crazy. Dre played Nvidia. Trishul. Yeah, Trishul, at first glance, that's what I'm saying. It looks a little bit funky there. All right. SPX puts 0.08 to 0.24. Okay, that must be the open play, I assume. But yeah, let's see. Yeah, Trisha, I'd wonder, like, honestly, this range is pretty set. I wonder if an Iron Condor would do well today. I'd have to see 705 lines up with like 70-70. So like the downside edge and top side do line up pretty well, honestly. So unless one side fades off completely, and I think Trump already spoke, right? He spoke pre-market. So I wonder if Iron Condor might be worth it. I just don't know if premiums would be that good by now. Yeah, double check Trish. I'm not saying you have to, but I think they could do well, right? If you're doing, I mean, I'll open up the option chains and look, right? I'm not gonna trade it, but let's just see what it look like, what it looks like. So I guess if you're looking, if you go 10-20, premiums might just be shot. That just might be the issue there. So if you're looking at like, I don't know, 70-50, yeah, premiums are shot, man. You're not getting like any premium on this. Guess you'd have to try to leg into it. Right now at the midpoint, you're getting like no premium, but if you're legging in, I guess if we get further dip or further upside, maybe try to leg in as we approach either extreme. SPX puts, Ash, I would not play puts. It's a potential they do, right? Like it's a potential this QQQ ceiling holds. Like we do have this QQQ ceiling here, 649 to 650. The reason I'm saying not to play puts is just because we already dropped. Like puts already paid 50% probably. So at this point, you're just chasing the move, right? Um, can it rally to 7150? Yeah, we do have a bit of a reverse rug pull here. But QQQ is sort of at the ceiling, so kind of getting opposing signs looking across from SPX to QQQ. SPY, we just have a ton of volume at 710, 711. So this honestly is acting like a bit of a ceiling. Like a lot of that volume looks like it's rolled off 713. Like 711 has grown relative to 713, right? So it seems like at least this lower ceiling is getting stronger. I don't think this volume's rolling down because it looks like 713 is actually growing a little bit itself. But 711 definitely increasing in volume a lot quicker than 713. Yeah, Trisha, I took a quick glance. Premiums are like you're getting like 10, $20 on either side. Like, yeah, might just be a no trade day. unless unless we get something a little nicer later in the day. All right. So yeah, we have this reverse rug pull, which I mean we're getting a bit of a pop on that. It's just if QQQ can hold this 650, we just don't have too much room to go. I mean, we have about $1 of space upwards if you're scalping, but I don't know. Usually I look for more upside, downside. Like I look for more space to move, especially in the morning. I'm looking for at least for a move to have $2 or $3 of space to run. That doesn't mean I'm holding it all $2 or $3. Like a lot of times I'm still scalping or not scalping, but like still selling at typically I'll target like 30%. But if I but yeah, I still want to see that the move has that much room to move in case so a lot of times I can leave runners, etc. All right. Uh, so 10 a.m. When did 10 a.m. happen? Yeah, I'm not saying too much right now, I'll be honest. Even like on if any of y'all doing futures with Guan Yu stuff, MACD hasn't flipped red, otherwise we'd have a downside FVG, but yeah, MACD hasn't flipped red, so there's not much to do there. Let me see here. Yeah, not loving today so far. Oh man. So yeah, 7-Eleven is getting a big pop in volume. So it looks like this ceiling stepped down a little bit. Because I think at the initial moment we got this rejection, 7-Eleven was not that strong, but definitely this has grown. So potential for a double top, I guess, if we push back up here, 7-Eleven, 750 still holding as a ceiling. We have very little volume above, at least on QQQ. SPY SPX, not as clear. What's up, Jay? Jay, I was waiting for MACD to flip red, right? Did I have my settings wrong? Bruh. Wait, I don't think it did, right? You're saying upside or downside? Yeah, I guess I didn't draw this out. So for the Quan Yu stuff, Jay, double check yours. My MACD's not red, and I have it 26 100. I mean, it looks like it's working. But yeah, my MACD's not red, bro. Well, this sucks. I guess Jay, if you're getting in here, what is this? 842. Yeah, you're already 30 points in profit if you took that. But yeah, my MACD didn't flip, and I double checked settings. I double checked on TradingView and on Project X. Looks like it's gonna play out though. Yeah, so SPX, the 6570 just tailed off like a good 30-40%. So yeah, it seems like this 7-Eleven and this big stack on QQQ are holding. They held pretty strong. I think Jay's play probably just hit. It's about to hit somewhere around here. That's annoying. Yeah, I guess MACD was approaching to flip red, but I don't know. I was sticking and waiting for that. All right. Yeah, so SPX really testing the 7120. So that's really the only, it's my fast length. 26, right? Do I have these flipped? No, slow length should be 100, right? Yeah, that play just hit right. Actually, maybe not. Yeah, let me know, Jay. Did you double check your settings? I guess the ES one did flip red. And it's quite a bit of divergence across them. Right. Yeah, Jay, check and DM me, but or just update it here. Because me and I think Sumina tracks that as well most times. I think me and him both aren't seeing that. I mean, it paid out though, anyways, so it worked. All right, yeah. So QQQ, yeah, held us from any higher. Guess yeah. If we're able to hold under 648, there's a chance we can flush all the way through down to like 645. If we start hitting these negative nodes, but for right now, honestly not. Yeah, and it looks like even 7120, right? This is looks like we may flip that level. This inverse rug pull may flip and actually give us this rug pull to the downside. So at that point, there's not really much resistance until maybe like 7100. Yeah, but this is a really awkward divergence, right? Because SPY is going to come sweep low a day pretty soon. QQQ is not even close. So sometimes what I'll do on these is like you'll have one already sweep out low of day. So I'll do that and then wait for the other one to just hit see if it lines up with the fib level. So sometimes I'll play these. Now, there's not much confluence on Heatseeker though, but sometimes like if we sweep low day on SPY and we're hitting, let's say, Golden Pocket or 0.707 on QQQ, sometimes I'll trade those. But yeah, generally I'll wait for a low day sweep or further, right? But yeah, it looks like it looks like they're gonna bounce to like $4 above that. Super annoying. What level can we see in SPX now? Ash, what do you mean? Where we're gonna go? I mean, yeah, if we hold the 7,120, it looks like we may be able to, if we hold that look, 711, some of that volume's rolled down to 710. So like ceilings are rolling down here, right? This is a pretty clear example of that, where when I first topped on 713 was still strongest node. 711 did end up growing, sort of lowering our ceiling to there. Now both of those have tailed off. 710 has grown. So like if you look at 710, right? Past 15 minutes has grown 260%. So we've now had that ceiling slide down another dollar. Same thing on QQQ, right? 650 was strongest when we started. Now it's rolled down to 649, right? So they're gradually like pushing that ceiling down a little bit. So if if these levels are holding, right? If we go no, we can't unless we retest, like we retrace, tap off those, and then play back down. Then you can't really trade off of them. But if these levels hold now, 710, 649, then we can probably get a further push down towards maybe 7,100. We start getting issues. But based off Spy QQQ, it looks like we actually have quite a bit of room down, like maybe down to like 646, 645. Yeah, because let me see, 7,100. Just such a weird move that we had. Like yesterday was so odd. Trying to look back and see. And we did have this wick here on 7,100 end of day yesterday. So there's a bit of confluence there. If we drop all the way down, we can get a double bottom there. But other than that, it's yeah, SPY QQQ are looking a little lower, honestly. SPY has massive node down at 705. That's just growing pretty nonstop. But QQQ is not nearly selling off as hard. QQ and also so QQQ 647, 646 grown in volume. So potential 647 may bounce us somewhere around the 0.707 fib, or a little bit under. Did SPY? I think SPY did sweep low day now. Yep. So SPY's at low day. QQQ hitting the golden pocket. There's not much heat seeker confluence on this one, but there's a chance we can bounce. And 709 just popped. Wait, this is a huge increase. So again, is this volume is definitely rolling lower. SPY is like this is a really clear example of that. If y'all go back and replay this later. Yeah, SPY's dropped basically 713. It skipped 712, but again, 713, 711, 710, 709, right? King node is just rolling all over. They're rolling lower and lower. But at this point, it's actually we're still at 709, so it's possible it's catching price, right? Uh, Especially with the low day sweep, usually we get a bit of a reaction there. So we're reacting a little bit here. NQ's up 20 points on this. Yes, it's a bit weaker today. So can we see 70 70 next? Possibly, but the 7100 and also that 647 on QQQ, like both of those can impede that. Like Ash, I would don't view these as much as like wherever we have strong volume, like I guess don't view this too much in terms of like we must gravitate here or there. Try to start looking for like what levels we're actually close to and then play those deflections. Like that's gonna be the best way to trade these, right? Because yeah, sure, we might get a full flush, go all the way down to 7070, but it's also possible we start flushing and then 7100 bounces us back up, right? Or I don't know, 645, 647, some of these levels can bounce us back up. So don't always view it as like we must be going towards where we have, just high volume. Because yeah, 7070, as we push there, it can fade off or something else can appear in the way that roadblocks it. So yeah. And then the other thing, Ash, is like you're should be aiming to catch reversals, right? So like we've already dropped we've already dropped 30 points on SPX, right? So yeah, we may drop a bit further, but you should be trying to catch off the initial move. Or if you do think there's going to be a continuation, you should be trying to see what retrace we have and then play further, like play a retracement back up and then catch that reversal back down, right? Hopefully that makes sense, Ash. So like, yeah, once you already see this move start going, like you've already missed it, right? We can go back and study like, okay, what happened up here? Maybe even on this retracement here, look at into like catching that trade. But at that point, I would really just start looking back and seeing what we missed or what we could have seen elsewhere, and then base it off that. Kevin, yeah, I mean, like the only trade I see right now is like, yeah, SPY swept low of day. You could say 709 is actually a floor. It's actually 710 just completely faded off, right? 709 picked up all that volume. So it was sort of like the ceiling rolling down, but now we're honestly at 709 where it could be a floor. Like if we break a bit further under, it'll flip to a ceiling, but at least right now, this could act as a floor. I don't really like this trade though, because QQQ just has so much volume upside. So like if we bounce, right, we really only have like a dollar. Where QQQ will bounce 648, and then if we go start tapping 649, this previous day high on QQQ, there's a chance we're not going to break very far above that. Like there's very strong volume there. So there's not great risk reward in either direction, in my opinion. So yeah, Kevin, I'm not too interested at the moment. PK, oh, sold an Iron Condor. PK, how early did you get in? I'm assuming you got in early morning because yeah, the recent premiums and Iron Condors are shot. They're not worth trading at all. That middle of range we saw earlier. Got you. Yeah, so PK, I mean, I guess like if you're taking it right here, you're doing some drawdown right around now, probably. But then if we get any kind of bounce off 7100, 647, then you're going to catch some relief there. So hopefully we don't just surge one way because that's really the only thing that'll kill you. But yeah, otherwise, I think you may be okay, actually. Yeah, with Iron Condors, you're a little safer than if you were to just play like a put credit spread. So, yeah, you can definitely sustain a little bit more. Yeah, 709. Yeah. But again, like we really have no confidence on that one. So that's why I was saying better to skip. Yeah, SPX having a big flush. All right. So yeah, at this point, Potentially you can like a 7-100 here. See if we get a bit of a reversal there. Oh, we have a bit of confluence with this negative stack on QQQ. But yeah, if you want to be safe today, like the strongest floor today is down at if we reach 70-70 and 705, those levels have a ton of confluence. Like if you come look at them, 705 is just above 70-70. So I don't know if we manage to drop another $30, but like we go hit these levels, definitely you can long off those. But it looks like maybe 7-100 will hold. 7-100 and 785 are like the two gatekeepers before we reach 70-70. And I guess 7-100. Actually, no. I was gonna say it might align with QQQ double bottom, but it seems like it won't actually. Yeah, we're getting a huge sell-off. So let's see, 7-100. All right, so yeah, we're definitely getting a reaction there for now. Don't know how sustained this will be, but this gatekeeper's giving a little trouble. That was a pretty strong candle on SPX, actually. What are we looking at? 783. Yeah, it was like 40, 50 points on NQ. All right, so QQ sweeping low of day. All right, so he has let's see, 645, 646 has a reverse rug pull. That might be next thing to look at to hold. Otherwise, yeah, there's not much else stopping this until these lower levels I mentioned before, 70-70, 705. But it looks like this reverse rug pull is holding a little bit. Yeah, we're getting a sharp. It's selling off sharp. Give me a second here. All right. Oh, this Vex is interesting. SPY has way lower Vex than I thought. 700. Yeah, 700 just popped. Yeah, for now it's QQQ level. Be looking at I guess 70-85 also. Another gatekeeper coming in. That lines up pretty well with QQQ. So you have a bit of confluence there, right? 70-85, 645. Let's see here. Yeah, 70-85 lines up pretty well with low day sweep as well. Yeah, but still safest one is so that might play it actually is 645, 70-85. Otherwise, yeah, you're just still waiting on 705, 70-70. That's still holding a lot of volume there. Yeah, it's a crazy sell-off. And yeah, if these levels are gonna hold, it'll be right around now. Yeah, Jay, I was thinking you had them wrong. I mean, it worked. It worked for today. But yeah, I was waiting on MACD to flip, so oh well. We're getting a wick there on 70.85. Yeah, we really got a lot of downside pressure though, so I don't know how sustained, how big of a pop we'll get here, but definitely holding 645. I mean, Ash, if you want to chase downside, you can. I personally wouldn't, right? But you can. And like obviously today it would have worked, but like I'm pretty conservative with like if I don't catch the beginning of a reversal, I'm just not going to trade it, right? That's the way I trade and how I'm going to advise people to trade. But I mean, yeah, if you want to chase that 70.70, you can. But same thing I said before, like, puts already paid probably like 300%, right? If you're catching it off top of day. So yeah, I'm just not going to advise people to push for an even larger downside move after we've already dropped 300%, right? But yeah, it looks like it could happen, right? Looks like we can drop all the way down to 70.70. Maybe this previous day low. Because right now, some of these levels are getting sliced through pretty quick, I'll be honest. Dre, why are you yelling? Yeah. Yeah, no, you definitely can play momentum. It's just not something I don't play momentum, right? You can though. It's just usually when I'm playing continuation, I'm still waiting for some kind of retracement. So like when they had rolled the ceiling to like from 711 down to 710 and even down to 709, yeah, if we get some like bigger retracement and then get like can play that reversal, that would have been fine. It's just we never got any pullbacks on any of those, right? So as the ceilings are rolling lower, we never really pulled back and got a bounce off of them. So that's personally what I was waiting for. But again, like if you're more comfortable playing continuation, absolutely you can. It's just not something that's not something I trade. Yeah. So using these cases, like once the move already gets like the move's already ripped, right? So at this point, I'm just waiting to see what reversal can I play, right? So again, like the 645, 685, that looks like that's holding right now, right? So we're getting that pop. And if that would have failed, you'd be looking at 70, 70, 705, and that's the next level that can hold as a floor. It's really annoying. They didn't sweep previous day low though. Like they missed this by like a couple dollars, but yeah, like clearly that reaction's working there, right? So yeah, I mean, if you're entering, I guess we missed by like 50 cents, but like if you're entering 70, 85, like yeah, I mean that's 15 points right there. You're getting full dollar off 645. Again, with the reverse rug pulls, that's why or I always say generally you want to be entering at midpoint or on a full tap of the positive node, right? Especially in this case where you have 70.85 as another reference point. So we know, okay, it's likely to overshoot 646 because this 70.85 floor lines up a bit more with 645, right? And we hit 645 like almost to the dot and bounce, right? So like this setup down here was pretty good. Actually, we're getting a huge rip off of this. So again, and this is the whole reason. Yeah, I know. Obviously, like if you would have chased up here, this would have worked fine if you're chasing 70.70. But if you go and chase down here, like any puts are cooked at this point, right? Well, it's possible you reverse down further, but like at least at the moment, right? So again, I'll be pretty adamant to stick with the system I have. So yeah, sometimes it involves a lot of patience and like sometimes you're gonna miss these moves, right? If you don't get in from the beginning, but something I'm willing to take, right? And then like, yeah, trade down here, you're taking very minimal drawdown off that. All right. Any questions on any of that? 'Cause I know like so this reversal on QQQ is a bit more clear, right? But I know on like SPX that was playing off a gatekeeper, so I know sometimes that's a bit off-putting for people. So I can, if needed, I can go through that if anyone needs. But yeah, I guess now that we're pushing back upwards, yeah, now you'd be seeing what ceilings will step in. So it looks so now maybe 709, 710, 648 on QQQ. Like those levels are looking like the next volume above that can sort of slow price down. Probably a 709, maybe a 709, right? Like where we bottomed out earlier. We broke below, see if we can flip that to a resistance. What was the previous support? Lines up pretty well with 709 node because we still have a lot of this downside volume. So you'll notice even as we, so actually let me double check this sec. So we've lost a little bit of volume down here on the 70, even the 705. But still overall, like we've had a pretty strong push and we're not, like they haven't completely faded off. 706 node is interesting. Where did this come from? I don't think I caught that. Yeah, I didn't notice that one coming in, stepping in, but yeah, that was helping. Also a bit of a floor growing a little bit higher, right? I don't know if that happened before or after this move though, actually. I'd have to check on replay. But anyways, if we're able to maintain a lot of this volume, we do start tapping into some of these ceilings. You'd want maybe the 650 you wanted to roll down a little bit. There's potential we can play a reversal, like a reversal back down. Now that we are seeing a larger continuation. Sorry, a larger retracement. Yeah, NQ about 100 points there. All right. Yeah, let's see if we get. I'd probably be looking for further push up or rejection down. I guess 71. Let me see here. Yeah, I'd probably be waiting for higher up. Oh, all right. Any questions on that move or any individual tickers? Anything else y'all have eyes on? Stu. Damn, Stu, you loaded puts early then. Nice, man. Oh, shoot. Yeah, I mean, if your runners basically pay for it, you might as well. See if we actually do end up pushing towards 70-70. All right. Yeah, these fib retracements didn't work at all. Oh yeah, Stu Jones. So, yeah, I do. I remember seeing Amat's map having a staircase. It was like all negative nodes, right? Yeah, I guess on indexes, yeah, I'd probably be waiting to see if 709 maybe taps. We get a rejection there, but yeah, let me check Amat for you. Yeah, right, this one's kind of funky where we just had this huge, especially on Vex, right? We have this huge king node up here, 450, and then we have these few negative nodes going. Yeah. I don't remember what the chart looks like though. I definitely looked at this though. I think what I had said here is we just don't have a floor, right? A couple things. Like one, it's just been consolidating for a good like 2, 3 weeks. But we also just don't have a floor to play off of on Gex. So I think someone had brought this out to me and said like if we break retest 400, yeah, absolutely. This is probably a good trade. You'd be looking at this level that's already been tested a few times. Um, Otherwise, like I guess if we get some big pullback down to like 380, maybe even like this 388. Um, right, I don't know. I mean, it's been a while since I usually don't take these, but like you could also even play like some kind of trend line break or break and retest. Probably retest is better. Either of the 400 level or of this trend line. But yeah, definitely like the Vex positioning. I do agree. Through Jones looks like we have pretty nice stair step. We have very little downside, so it is a lot of upside. But I'd probably be targeting like 430 on OPEX. Like I get pretty nervous to target these upper ones, so it's better plan for the worst. And then yeah, if we do end up ripping a 450, then you have runners, but better just play the worst case scenario, right? But yeah, I agree. Through Jones, I like overall, I like that staircase. The spy comes back down to 705 node again. It could break under still. I mean, I'd expect some reaction off that 705, 705 and 770. I don't think we just flush straight through it, but we'll see. I mean, first we got to see if we even get there. This QQQ inverse rug pull stopped it from getting even close, right? We're still like $1 away on SPY. We bounce. I mean, we didn't bounce off 705 though. We bounced off 706. We bounced us off the 7085 on SPX and off 645 on QQQ, right? That 705 isn't tested in my opinion. FSLR. Yeah, I'll look at. I don't know when I charted this, but I have a level here. Oh, I didn't mean to add that to my favorites. Yeah, FSLR looks decent here on the chart at this level, or if you want to be safe, you wait for this wick to be taken out down here at 187. That lines up with this node. Um, or I guess you could also be looking at this as a 192 overshoot. So, I would say like I probably want a bigger range on FSLR to trade this, but yeah, we are at a pretty good level. It's been tested quite a few times, so I'd probably guess to be safe, you can wait for this wick to sweep and then play push. But I don't know who said this. Baba, I don't. Baba, is this for like this week? Like you're playing off just this week's expiration, I assume. Long term, I wouldn't. We have so little data over the next 2 weeks. Like, yes, I know we have this King node out 220, but we have so little data on the next couple weeks that I probably wouldn't. I, I guess I probably wouldn't play a long term trade on this for next week. Yeah, I guess if you grab next week cons, I mean, there's just no volume next week. But I mean, the thesis looks good this week, and then always what you can do is as the week progresses, next week should start filling in a bit more volume. And if it looks good, you hold through. If not, then you just sell out. Netflix, I think a few people have asked me about this actually. I wait, that 93 node disappeared. So like Netflix this morning had 98, 95, and 93. Right now we don't have 93. I don't know why that volume faded off. That's weird. I would have expected that to stay stronger. So the reason we're likely still seeing a lot of volume at 98 is we dropped yesterday. We dropped from 98. So if we double bottom here, we can recover back up. But the fact that that floor disappeared is a bit odd. I don't know if I've ever seen that before. So at this point, it looks like Netflix looks like this level here at 95 may be playing out too. So I think yeah, if you are still convinced on upside here, then you probably want to be trimming heavy on 95 because that can reject back down. Then just leave runners in case you break above and keep, get some continuation to 98. But a lot of times when we sell off, so when we push off this 98 node downwards, you'll see is that sort of some of that volume sticks around, but a lot of it starts rolling lower, right? So 95 popped up. 93 was there this morning, so I'd have to double check what's going on with that node. Um, but if you notice 98 just keeps fading and 95 just grows and grows, then I don't think we'd be able to clear 95 back up. But 98 has kept pretty strong volume actually, even for losing. We've dropped a bit today, and 98 has kept its volume pretty well. Stu, wouldn't it be best practice to look at it as 706 to 705? 706 to 705. I mean, yeah, it can bounce early, Stu, but generally when I have 70-70, like if you look at 70-70, this is right by 705. Like they're right next to each other. So if I'm playing that level, I'm not really looking at 705. Like when we say there's going to be an early bounce, generally we're talking like 50 cents. So you'd be looking at like 705.5. I don't know if at the time now the 706 node has grown. So if you're looking at that as your bounce point, sure. But I think at the time it was not this strong. So I was looking mostly at 705. So the reason I was saying it could bounce early was based off 70-85 gatekeeper, 70-645 inverse rug pull. But the 705 node, I would have treated like I would have wanted like a further, like a dollar further down, and then I would have played that bounce. If that makes sense. Because that would have brought it more in line with 70-70. So like, yeah, there's a bit of buffer on these nodes, but I guess I center it on the node, right? So if I'm looking like my 705 buffer, let's say, would be like this, roughly. Whereas 70.85, that floor would have been like here. Oh, wait, what just happened? Why is my rectangle not drawing? So yeah, 70.85 would have been like this, right? So I was more so looking at that and as well as 645. Yeah, 645 rug pull, you're trying to get in either at the midway point or on the top of 645 itself. So you're looking at something like this, right? So that would have been how I was viewing it, right? So I was still expecting like 705 definitely strong floor, right? But I would have been waiting more like a dollar under. Those more SPX QQQ confluence that I was seeing there. All right. Let me delete all these boxes. I don't want to confuse people. Actually, I don't know if those boxes, maybe they help. Let me know. I don't know what y'all prefer. Yes, dude, no problem. I mean, even the way you're reviewing it, I mean, you still, I mean, you caught it at a good spot. So again, it's like kind of nitpicky what I'm saying, but hopefully it makes sense, like why I'm saying it, why I'm viewing it that way. Oh, if these boxes help, I guess I should write these then. How do you put text in a box? But yeah, like even as we got that pop, right? A lot of that volume is not fading off. So yeah, it seems like we may revisit. So now you're saying, okay, either we double bottom or we're gonna flush through and see if we get the 705 tap. Chris, I didn't know. Wait, Chris, can you answer your support ticket? But yeah, I'll draw these boxes out. Doesn't have to be right now, Chris. It can be later. How do I draw this out? All right, thanks, Chris. I guess how do I draw it? I guess with the rug pull, I gotta draw the whole thing. It's a lot of sketching. Sorry, y'all. But I know. So again, I'm kind of like bootleg recreating Atlas, but yeah, for anyone who's training before Atlas came out, this is something you just do yourself mentally, either mentally or on the chart just every time. But it's something you're like, I just got used to thinking of it this way, right? So for people who visualize this pretty easily, that's why like Atlas doesn't really make a big difference because it's just the same data, right? Just it's actually displayed and you don't have to like sketch these boxes out. But people have been using the tool a long time. You kind of learn to just visualize these zones. So that's why I mean Atlas is convenient, like save you a bit of mental processing, especially if you're new, right? Like it's huge convenience if you're new, but for people who have been using the tool a while, it's already something they're kind of tracking just in their mind, right? So that's why I don't know. I've been pretty stalled on using Atlas. Like I probably won't end up using it until people figure out a few more of the like tips on what settings you want to use for like the next plus N projections for swing trading, stuff like that. So yeah, you'll notice that I rarely look at Atlas. It's only when people ask me to look at it. But so that's kind of like the reasoning why. And also like I know not everyone has access to it. So I also don't want to hop on stream and assume everyone has it and only be catering to pro members, right? So it needs to also be people in community and initiate can easily track what I'm doing as well. Um, yeah, let me see. So again, SPX a lot weaker still. We didn't quite double bottom. Actually, I would have liked us to come and sweep previous day low and sort of take out that previous low we just made for a potential double bottom there. Yeah, QQQ is definitely not, it's definitely stronger. Hmm. Yeah, but it's suppose it's healthy. We're finally getting a bit of downside in the market. Let's see, it'd probably be good if we get more over the next few days. Not sure if Trump will let it happen though. All right, let's see. Also, yeah, it's been about an hour, so we're also pushing into getting closer to lunch hour. So sometimes even around 11:30, stuff will stall out. So let's see. I mean, let's see what happens. All right. I don't know. Any questions? Yeah, maybe things have slowed down a bit, so you can also just have this be a bit of office hours if anyone has questions. Ah, goodness. Need to go take medicine or something. So I don't know if he's still here, if PK is still here. Oh, GTC, you want to ask your question? Or is that an accident? I'll just invite you to speak. Oh, yeah, so Atlas is for pro members only. So you're in Initiate. So Initiate basically you have web access, like you have Flow Seeker, you have Nexus, but then for the heat maps themselves, you only have the 5 indexes, right? For anything else, you can use the Discord access, so you can still look at them, just obviously on the different, sort of like a different visual format. Atlas is for pro users, and then I think there's a tutorial that Glitch posted. So let me send you where you can find that actually. I guess for anyone else here who's like curious about it. So like if I don't know, either if you're interested in it, I would go through and just watch that video just to get a grasp on what it is, or you can also just message me any questions. But yeah, that's the reason you're not seeing it is because initiate members are not um or I guess it's pro members only. Mm-hmm. I just sent it in the chat, so I think if you click there, it should be the first video you see. Where it says intro to Atlas or something. Yeah, and it's Glitch explaining a bit more in detail and like how to navigate it and just a few of the details about it. So I would watch that just first get a grasp of what it is, and then you can actually decide if it's something you want to have or not, right? And if you do, just let me know or open up a ticket and we can, John or I will help you swap accesses if you want. But yeah, if not, then just remain with what you have. Okay, yeah, hopefully that helps. Awesome. Baba, you don't know how to. So if you're on the website, right, it's just this little chart icon. Or if you have this banner open, I mean, it just says Atlas, right? So hopefully you could find it that way, Baba. Oh yeah, yeah. On Discord, you're not gonna have it. Wait, Baba, you're on the website, right? Did you not accept web access? We've had a few people do this actually. Holy, Baba, can you DM me? Just DM me and that'll be a reminder so I can check your access later. But you should have gotten an email. Oh, okay. You've been trading straight off the Discord maps. Okay. Yeah. DM me and then check for an email from what's the email? I think it's either skylit.ai or support at Skylit, something like that. I don't know. Just look up Skylit on your email and see if you have one. If you don't, DM me and you should be able to like accept access. But yeah, yeah, if you've been trading off Discord, yeah. Things will get a little bit easier if you're on the once you're on the website. Yeah. Yeah, Baba, can you DM me that? Once I finish this stream, I can sort that out, but I'll forget. So just DM me as a reminder. Yeah, yeah, no problem. Yeah, thanks for letting me know. Yeah, I've had these issues a few times. I guess, yeah, not everyone checks their emails. So some people don't realize they have the web access. All right. All right, now we're testing that floor again. There's a lot of divergence on QQQ and SPX. It's kind of ugly. We are sweeping previous day low. So again, either yeah, an entry here off double bottom can work, or you just wait for this level to full break. Like the safer play is you just be waiting and see if we go tap 705, 770, 7070. But yeah, definitely like the same setup that led to this first bounce is still present, right? We still have 7085 gatekeeper, 645, 646 reverse rug pull. So yeah, it looks like we're getting another reaction there, right? So you'll notice QQQ, right? This one we didn't get a full tap of 645. So it was more so we're hitting the midpoint and then getting a right now it's a bit of a reaction. I actually don't know if we're gonna get like a full one, but it looks like it's going quite well. But so a lot of times, yeah, on these rug pulls and inverse rug pulls, a lot of times the midpoint is a good entry. Because by that point we've already overshot the negative node. We're tapping into the early side of the positive node, and then we're getting both of them to like, the negative node is rubber banding price back up. The positive node is just rejecting it, right? So if any of y'all watched my video on that, I'm pretty big on waiting for a full overshoot or just like a half a dollar overshoot, and then a lot of times that'll be the best way to trade those rug pulls. But yeah, second tap, at least right now, it's looking like a more muted reaction. That K, yeah, yeah, Tud K definitely. Like, I mean, I guess if you enter like anywhere up here, probably the 705, like a downside put is fine. Through here, there's not really any retracement, so I personally wouldn't play. And I guess so on this pump back up to like 708, here might have been your other chance. I was actually waiting for 709. Like we had a lot of positive volume up at 709. That would have been a support resistance flip at this level here. So I would have preferred 709, but I think you could have argued it here off the 7100 gatekeeper, but yeah, I didn't. I personally didn't like that one too much. So I felt like SPX was the only one that was like really supporting that. So I was waiting for something that was a bit cleaner on SPY and QQQ, but yeah, I mean we never got that further retrace back up. But yeah, but by this point, like downside, we have 20 points of downside left. $2 at least at the moment, right? Based on where the floors are. So yeah, 20 points of downside in 4 hours. Like it's a high chance theta will give you some issues there. So yeah, hopefully that helps, Tudke. Yeah, no problem. So again, like we're getting pretty good reaction here. I don't Things do look pretty bearish. I actually don't know if this is gonna pop very hard, but like, QQQ is up almost $1 off that, right? Like this bottom wick, pretty massive bottom wick. And yeah, I guess that's another point I'll make. Like there tends to be a lot of divergence at all-time highs between the indexes. So like we already knew QQQ was much stronger, right? Even from the fact that like SPX swept low of day while QQQ was still like at a 60% retracement, right? So then on any of these moves, it favors you to like when there's this clear of a divergence, right? Any kind of downside, you probably want to lean towards SPX, and then any kind of upside, you're leaning towards QQQ, right? Because most days, sure, if we get 30, 40% on one, it'll be 30, 40% on the other. But if you notice today, it actually is a big difference across which one you play. Like you're playing QQQ, you're getting a much larger move. SPY, where this is like a half a dollar wick, whereas on QQQ, we're looking at like more 70, 80 cents. So I mean, it's a small thing to consider, but it can, especially like in these very sort of where you get a bit more divergence across the two indexes, can make quite a bit of difference on profits you're pulling. But yeah, these upside moves, the first one was quite strong, the second one's quite weak. So I think we may end up actually visiting those lower nodes at 70, 70. We're not getting much traction at the moment on this second bounce. Yeah, this one, Kevin, I'd say so. I mean, if you're scalping like this second double bottom, you could have played. You could play this double bottom. Looks like it's still holding actually. Looks like we're trying to push a little bit further, but yeah, if you didn't catch that sort of, I guess like on the SPX sweep low day, but yeah, if you're not in off that, then yeah, at this point you'd probably just be waiting for price to drop all the way back down towards those nodes, 705 and 7070. All right, so we are holding there the double bottom. Yeah, not as immediate of a reaction, but it's definitely still there. Yeah, I guess we're going into lunch soon, so. Mule, when I'm looking at the Trinity map and see percent increase and decrease, is that in reference to the beginning of the day? Oh, Mule, yeah, so that's in reference to a specific time frame. So you'll see up here where we have this little like flash symbol. When I turn it on, right, you're gonna see all. I would not leave it on increasing, just leave it on all for your community. But so yeah, so just for reference, right, whatever time frame is selected here. So I have 15. Usually I'll use 10 or 15 minutes. It's basically just showing us, okay, from now. So for example, 7100, right, 15, 10%. From now compared to 15 minutes ago, it has grown 10%, right? In absolute, and it's like absolute volume calculations. So for example, like this negative 647, it's gotten more negative, right? So like the math there is technically wrong, but we did it in a way where it's showing since volume is most important, and then you look at the and then you look at oh, what am I trying to say? And then you look at the sign, it's coded in a way where it's showing you based on absolute value. So that's yeah, I need to make a video on it. Actually, maybe I'll record that video today. I've been meaning to do that for a few days. But yeah, that's what that means, mule. So hopefully that helps. So most people, like very rarely do people use it on the 1 minute. Same reason we don't chart on the 1 minute. It's just like a bit too hectic. So usually people are tracking, usually we're tracking velocity on like 10, 15, sometimes 5 minute if you want like a little bit, more fine tuned. Or if it's like beginning of the day near market open or very late in the day and like you're trading MOC. MOC might be the only moment you'd actually want to be looking at like 1 minute volume, 1 minute change. But typically I just leave it to 5, 10, or 15. So hopefully that helps Mule. Yeah, I guess when I'm on stream, it's yeah, it's not something you're used to looking at, so that's why you're asking. Yeah, and then so the way it works is like it'll only show you the top, it's like the top 10% changes. So like the strongest ones. But then for any node that's not showing, so for example, 7100, we don't have a bubble here. You can also just click onto the node and then it'll show you over all the time frames, what are the rate of changes? Sorry, what are the velocity changes? And like a little graph. The little graph is only for the past 10 minutes though. But it's still useful to see. It's pretty cool too, honestly. So the other thing that's important on velocity, right, is you want to track velocity on strong nodes. So like 7060 losing 40% of his volume, I don't care because this is a 1.7 thousand node, right? And our king node's 46,000. This is something that's like, I think, basically peanuts in comparison. So like make sure you're tracking it on significant nodes. So again, like 7145 is a large percent decrease, but there's also a node that has almost no volume. Yeah. All right. So hopefully that helps, Mule. What Bobby is using? Who's Bobby? Bobby the Owls guy? I mean, if he's posting any screenshots, you should just be able to see it in the corner. Like you should be able to look up here. Oh, I guess it depends. If he screenshots only from this line down, you won't be able to see. But if he screenshots the whole thing and you see this Trinity up here, then you would be able to see whatever setting he has turned on. Or just ask him. I feel like I don't think he'd, I mean, I don't know. I've never chatted with Bobby, but I'd assume he'd share. I know he does like a lot of sort of like teaching. Like I feel like I've heard his style is pretty teaching. So yeah, just ask him and I'm sure he'd be willing to share that. All right. Yeah, I guess we're almost hitting lunch. Stuff has chilled out a little bit for sure. Any other questions I can go through right now? Seems like we're just chopping around here. Yeah, it's okay. Just yeah, anytime y'all have questions, just go ahead, type it out. Type it out or let me know if you want to like ask over the phone. When it comes to earnings. Oh, um, yeah, so you usually I mean like I was so big disclaimer, right? Earnings, heat seeker or not, right? Earnings is like gonna be one of the trickiest things to get right. So yeah, I'll just lead with that. Now, if you are playing earnings, it the same kind of rules apply, right? Well, I think one, if you do have any strong volume, like on the week of, a lot of times you can still look for those reversals to happen. But if you're looking like further out, a lot of times what'll happen on earnings actually is if you'll get some like massive VEX nodes, like more speculative VEX nodes far in the far in the future. Sometimes those do end up playing out. Like earnings is a strong enough catalyst that those will play out there, right? So obviously sometimes it's news. So for example, that was a long time ago, but I think like when AMD released whatever news they had, this was a long time ago that caused AMD to surge. I forgot what the percentage was, but that ended up being news was the catalyst over the weekend, right? But there's a very strong upside VEX node. But I've seen many times on earnings, right? We'll have very strong upside or downside VEX node, and then earnings is just the catalyst that gets that move sort of started. Now the big warning I'll give there is like obviously a lot of the out of the money VEX nodes, whether it's up or downside, are OPEX. So generally I'll trust it a bit more if it's a non-OPEX node. So if I see very strong volume the week before OPEX, right, and then we see some huge VEX node, I'll look at that and say, oh, okay, like maybe I'm gonna look at it a little bit more seriously. But I'll be honest, like there was a period like I would just go lotto out lotto earnings quite often, but yeah, I fell out of that just because even with Heat Seeker, right? Sometimes it'll go well, but at the end, it's like earnings is earnings. So sometimes you'd get the direction correct, and you just get completely like torn apart on IV crush and stuff like that. So I still don't recommend it overall, to be honest. Yeah, Netflix looks like it's going towards that 93. Um, Let me answer this Tesla question. So what, Tesla has earnings tomorrow? Wait, aftermarket? Yeah, so Tesla's not very clear. So the way I treat earnings is like for me to take earnings play, a lot of times I'll want to see like huge upside or downside. Because the issue is like, sure, right now it looks like a bit, it's pretty even pull actually. So it's like a pretty even split both ways. Let's say you're favoring upside a little bit. Not, yeah, it's very slightly, honestly, like not even that much. The big issue here is like I prefer to see just like huge nodes up to 440 and not so much in the way because what can happen here is okay, sure, we may beat but we may beat, revert back down, end around 405, or we may just open flat, IV crush, and then just push to 405 by end of the week, right? So I typically want to see like a lot more upside for if I'm going to do anything on earnings. Otherwise, like IV crush will get you. Oh yeah, this is Friday. Oh, I didn't even notice that. Thanks, PK. Let me check what Nvidia's saying. Oh, so it's a Tesla only issue. I have no idea. Let me put in a message to the developer real quick. Give me a second here. Thanks for pointing that out, PK. Oh, if it's not in the brokerages, that's why it's not showing on Heatseeker. Okay, so there's just some issue there. This reminds me, that was like maybe a month ago by now. There was that one day where how do I say this? There's that one day where like SPY was missing 700 strike or something like that. But if it's a brokerage issue, then that's why Heatseeker is not showing it. It just doesn't exist, right? So when Heatseeker is going and trying to pull it from the brokerage, if it's not on any of the brokerages, it's just there's nothing to pull basically. So yeah, I don't know what the reason is, but it's not a Heatseeker specific issue. But yeah, that's it's a bit odd. Um, but yeah, anyways, so yeah, back to like yeah, earnings again, like it's just it's a lotto, right? Lotto is lotto, so yeah, yeah, just not gonna, make sure you're sized appropriately, right? Something like super tiny out of the account and etc. But or just don't play it at all, honestly, is probably my recommendation. Especially not that Tesla one. The Tesla one, if I had to pick an earnings trade to do, that one's definitely not it. Also, I feel like the bigger names a lot of times are more often to get, at least in my experience, like I feel like they get IV crushed a little bit harder than like sometimes these random names will have just huge moves. Like I remember Axon once had like a massive move on earnings. It's like, yeah, they're probably not going to bother IV crushing Axon. No one's trading it in the first place, right? All right. Oh yeah, and Tudke, your other question on flow, I just don't have an answer for that. I don't use flow. Um, yeah, I mean that's something I'll start looking into, and like as I maybe build some of the settings that I think work well, I'll be sure to update people. But flow is not something I have experience with, so I think I may see if either Tirth or Keon, as I see a few more of the users or have a bit more experience with it themselves, like usage, if they're able to like put out some suggested settings or maybe even do like a video breakdown of like how they recommend to utilize it. But yeah, I don't want to speak on something I don't have enough knowledge on and lead you all the wrong way. But I think actually yesterday, I believe in one of the main chats, Glitch was giving a few settings. So if you go filter messages by Glitch, let me see if I can, maybe I can help with this actually. So if we go filter messages from Glitch, oh man, I don't actually know what he would have said. Maybe flow. I think it was last night. He was talking. I swear it was last night. Oh yeah. All right, so Glitch said he filters out meaningless flow, which doesn't really tell us anything. Then he said, oh yeah, here it is. Let me screenshot this. I'll send it to you. I'll send it in the chat. He says he only cares about single leg orders. I don't know, some other stuff. I'll just send it in the stages. I'm not gonna. All right, Tutke. So yeah, I guess just save that picture. That's all I've seen from him. But I also think Glitch doesn't like he's not massive on flow. I might be wrong there though. Like he may use it more than I realize, but I don't believe so. But again, I think same as with Atlas, right? As everyone has more time to use them, so people start to figure out what are their preferred settings, what are like some good baskets, or ways to filter through, right? So I think like a lot of that will emerge just with more time, but right now they just had very low amounts of usage, so it's hard to tell some of these things, right? But again, as people get more comfortable and I start spotting what different people are doing, yeah, I'll see if I can try to group up some of those resources and post them somewhere. Um, yeah, to help everyone. I mean, like I know Flow's really new for a lot of people, right? What's up, Felix? Or Felix? I actually don't even know if that's your name. Nah, not Blown G. Been wondering why V Blasto's not tuning into the live streams. I need to DM that guy. Oh, this guy, Felix left. Oh no, he's still here. Felix, how you do today? I saw you were messaging for this 645 floor, I think. I think I saw you messaging in SPX chat about it. Did you end up catching that or no? Or was it you? Maybe it's Mustafa? Okay, yeah, it was you. Yeah, 35 points, nice. Yeah, I guess we never fully tapped back down. If you're waiting for that double bottom, we just never got it. Like there's a huge SMT across ES and NQ, but I guess you could have played it two times, honestly. But all right, yeah, nice, nice, Felix. All right, yeah, it's 12. Yeah, any other questions from anybody? I may not actually record a recap. What I might do is I might just splice out what I was saying earlier about the floor, the gatekeeper, whatever that thesis was. I'll have to listen back to it. If I stuttered too much, I'll make it a recap. But if it sounds smooth enough, I'll just post that on its own as a recap. So we'll see. But yeah, I'll post this recording as well, for anybody who wants to go back and listen to it. But yeah, otherwise I have tomorrow the office hours, and then yeah, as always, y'all can just message me if you have any questions. But otherwise, I think I'll just cut it here. So yeah, thanks everyone for joining, all the questions. Hopefully it was helpful. Then yeah, looks we've already had some pretty good moves. So yeah, I'd probably be waiting till after lunch, see if something else happens around then. But it looks like we've stalled out quite a bit around here. So probably don't be pushing anything until 1:30, 2 p.m. All right. All right, everyone. If there's no other questions, I'll just cut this off here. So have a good day, good week as well. All right. Bye, everyone.